Hello. It's been a while since I've done a video, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first YouTube live. So I don't edit. It is what it is. So what you see is what you get. My name is Kat, and you are joining me on the Stamper Kitty YouTube channel. I also have a Stampin' Up website, which I believe I noted in the comments. It's at stamperkitty.stampinup.net. So I'm going to take a few moments just to review a few things that we're using to make this card. It's called Friendly Foliage, and we also have dies that go with it. These are an online exclusive. Okay, that means that they are not in any catalog. They're found only on the Stampin' Up website and my Stampin' Up website. And then we're going to be using the stamp set and the dies, and we're also going to be using the lasting linen stamp for the background. You're going to see that. It's a little hard to see, but you can see it's a little bit darker here. So close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to turn the camera around and we will get started. Okay. You get to see a little bit of a messy desk here. I need to move my things. We'll move this up, hopefully. Okay, because this is a lot different than the other places that I have done a live video on, and it's been a good 5 or 6 months since I've done a video. So, all right, so we're going to be making this card. It's got 3 components. We have the die cut. We're going to do some heat embossing, and then we're also going to do the background. All right, so let's start with the background because I feel like that's the easiest step. Okay, and I just realized I don't have everything that I need. Just a second. Let me cut a piece, and I will go through the dimensions as well. Okay, this is your typical 8.5 wide by 5.5 tall. Okay, and I just scored it in the middle, so 8.5. Half of that would be 4.25. All right, this top layer is 3.5 inches by 4.75 inches, and then the green, the old olive cardstock, after I've trimmed it down, it's just 3.5 inches wide, and it is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5/8 of an inch tall. That's 1/2 inch plus 1/8 of an inch, so 5/8 of an inch. So again, this one is 3.5 by 4.75, and I forgot to cut that piece. So just a second, I'll be right back. Let's try that again. Lives are just so much fun. There we go. That didn't take long. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to use a stamp positioner, any one that you would like. And I think I just left that on there so I wouldn't have to clean it. And then to color it, we are going to be using crumb cake. I need a little more light here. That's too bright. There we go. A little bit brighter. Okay. I'm going to use crumb cake ink. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You don't have to have a stamp positioner. You can just lay the stamp down on a flat surface, and then if you want, you could simply lay this down on top and then use a piece of paper so it doesn't move and you don't get your fingers all inky, and then you could just rub it over it. What I'm proposing to do instead is I'm going to lay it down here. It's about a half inch from each edge. I'm just going to ink again. The nice thing about a stamp positioner, Stampin' Up! Has just come out with a brand new one. Okay, which is really nice because it will allow you to do multiple stamping in different positions. And it's available online now. I just have not gotten it yet. Okay, if after you've done this and you see like, oh, maybe I would like a little more ink, the whole point of having a stamp positioner is you can ink this up again, close it, and do it some more. I'm totally fine with this. I feel like it gives it a little bit of character. If you can see this, yeah, you can see a little bit of blobs, and that's okay. I think it adds character. I'm going to take this piece of paper and just put back on top of it to protect the pad from getting stained, getting ink on it. So now we have our background done for this card. The next part is we're going to make our die cut. So we're going to use the stamp. We're going to use this stamp. By the way, this particular stamp set has "Here for You Always," "Wishing you all the best," "Get well soon," "Sending love," "You're on my mind and in my heart," "Thinking of you," and some extra foliage for backgrounds or however you want to use it. And the dies, I'm going to explain in a moment. It'll make more sense if I show it to you than tell you. So, all right, I need Old Olive ink. And because it's a little bit bigger, I'm just going to ink it up, put the stamp upside down. Okay, and ink it up that way. And then because this is a photopolymers do not have like any foam like red rubber stamps do. So I recommend having our Stampin' Pierce mat, which you can find online. And then I'm going to set this down. And I just want to push down. And the Stampin' Pierce mat is made out of a dense foam, and it allows for a little bit of give so you get some better, so it inks up better. Okay. All right. And let's take a look. Not my best. So, but that's okay. This is mainly for demonstration purposes. I may need to re-ink my stamp a little bit. So, one thing I didn't mention is the way to clean the stamp if you don't want to remove it is you can take a chamois. I'm talking about this background stamp. You could use a chamois like you use for auto cleaning to wipe it down with. That is perfectly acceptable. Another way is our purple chamois, which is in our catalog. In the current online catalog, it's on page 111, and it's called A Simple Chamois. It's $9. It's really nice and handy to clean stamps with. It's handy to clean your stamps. It's portable. As a matter of fact, I just store it in an old stamp case, and you can absolutely clean it this way. And I will use this in a little bit when we're doing our embossing. And I'll explain why I'm using that instead of a traditional, I forgot what our stamp cleaner is called. Yep, we're live, making all kinds of boo-boos. It's okay. All right, now, how we're going to do this, the die cutting, I mentioned in the description of the title, or in the description, that you can die cut 3 different ways with the dies. The first one is you can simply just die cut the outside, okay? Just the outside. The next way is you can die cut just the inside. So if I only wanted to cut the inside, I would still have this big border around it. And then the last way is you can cut both the inside and the outside at the same time, which is what we did for this card. Because I can stick my finger. Well, I glued it down so you can't, but you can see that the inside and the outside were cut. Now, what I recommend for cutting is using either 3M tape, which you can find on Amazon or probably Walmart.com, or I have some mint tape, which is essentially the same thing, which I got years ago on scrapbook.com. So whatever's easiest for you. And how you do this is you're going to use both dies at the same time. So let me pull this apart. So the first thing you're going to do is lay the big die down. I guess it would help if you could see. Lay down the big die. Okay. Don't cut it yet. Then you're going and check around the perimeter because there's a border here. And if you look at that, that should get you lined up really well. Then you have the next piece for the inside to cut the inside. You want to get that lined up. And then for sure, you will want to tape the dies down before you run it through a die cutting machine. Okay, so now I'm going to take this off because I've run it through my die cutting machine to save time. I've done that ahead of time. So this comes off and this comes off, and then these inside pieces simply fall out. So now you can see it's cut the inside and the outside. It is so cool because it gives you 3 options: inside, outside, or inside and outside. Okay, so now we've got our background piece. We've got this piece. So what's left is to do our heat embossing and our stamping. So let me finish the inside of my card. We'll get that done. Since we're putting Thinking of You, I'm going to do the Get Well Soon on the inside. Make sure this is clean. That looks really good. Nice and straight. Now, as far as the other parts, it's up to you what you do. This is where it's your card, your way. You get to be creative how you like. So you could even do this like stamp once and stamp twice, but I'm only going to do the one. Because again, you get to make your card the way you like. I'm not going to clean that off yet. And then I'm going to do this. I don't want it floating, so I want to make sure I get all the way to the edge. There we go. I want to make sure I get to the edge of the card because you don't want it floating like on my sample. Not that anybody would care. See here, it's not to the edge, so it kind of looks like it's floating. I think it looks better if it's not floating. And then the envelope. And we have some of the best envelopes around. Let's see. Here we go. And because the post office doesn't like anything in this section, because that's where oftentimes a barcode will be put by the post office, you want to, if you're going to stamp on the front, make sure to stamp all the way to the left. Okay. And then for the back, I'm going to open up and flatten the envelope. And then I am simply going to do like this. One in each corner of the flap. And I feel like green, well, first of all, it's one of my favorite colors. And also, I feel like it's a color for healing. So now that part of our stamping is done. Okay, set this off to the side. Now what's left? We still need to do our embossing. Before we do the embossing, I think I'm going to go ahead and glue it here, our die cut piece. So, and this one's pretty simple. Oh, I see a piece that didn't pop out. You got to take your pick tool and, oh, it just fell out for me. Okay, that's easy. All right, here we go. If you get too much glue, no worries. You can just pick it up, transfer it to another place because you don't want it oozing out everywhere. Along the edge. I really like our liquid glue that we have because it's easy, it's inexpensive, a little goes a long ways. And I feel like I have some areas that are just a little too thick. So it does have a second tip on it, which is a flat tip. Okay, I'm just going to take it and smear it around. That way it doesn't ooze out when I adhere it to the card front. There we go. And just move that around. All right. Now I'm going to grab this and let's take a look. That looks pretty good. This is not right underneath me, so I'm going to pick it up. Okay, there we go. All right. There, that part is done. So I don't forget, I am going to go ahead and add our dimensionals to the back because this is lifted up just a little, just to give it a little more oomph, a little more. So, oh, I want to show you a little tip here. You can take your dimensionals and use either a Sharpie or our Stampin' Blend, and you can color the top of the dimensional. That way you'll know whether or not you have taken off the paper. Let me grab, I'm going to use these first. So, and for sure the four corners, and then I would suggest doing the center like this. This way it supports the outside and the inside, and this part should be just fine. So, all right, that part. Now, you can either, a couple ways to get these off is you can press down with a fingernail and they will pop off pretty easily, or you can take your pick tool and go at a bit of an angle. It takes a little bit of practice, but then you get them all done at the same time very quickly. Oh, excuse me. It is definitely allergy season here. Now I want to get this centered. Let's see. Yep, that looks pretty good. It could be a little narrower at the top than at the bottom, and that's okay. If for some reason it's crooked, and I think it's just an illusion to me, the shadows, it's fine. So the next thing we need to do is our heat embossing. And I just realized I should not have glued this on yet. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this down. What you can do is do your heat embossing and glue this to it, and then you can turn the paper over if you don't glue it down like I just did, and you can trim it. Sorry about that. I wanted to show that to you and kind of like forgot. So no worries. Okay. Now with heat embossing, we're going to use a powder, but to get the powder to stick, we have to use either our white craft Stampin' Pad, or you could use our Versa marking pad. But before you do that, you want to take an embossing buddy, and we still sell the kit. It comes with an embossing buddy and some tools, which I will show you. This is oh, I missed the other tool. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. These are really nice because this particular tweezers are made out, I believe it's like a ceramic, so they take the heat, not your hands. It also comes with a brush to help brush off excess powder. I also have an old Stampin' Up brush as well in case there's some finer areas. So I'm just going to do this, but you can get a whole kit that comes with these, the embossing buddy, and a tray that you can pour the powder over. To save time, what I have done is I have put my powders into a Rubbermaid type of container. All right. I want to get out my Thinking of You. I'm going to ink it up. Just walking it across, taking a look at it. And now I'm going to stamp it in the middle. Give it a nice firm push, not too hard. Just give it a moment to transfer the ink. Okay. Put that off to the side. Now I'm going to take my powder, pour it over. I like to give it a flick or two. And that looks really good. There's just one itty bitty piece of powder stuck right there. Okay. The rest of it looks fine, so we shouldn't have any problems. Give it a little more powder. Okay. With another tap. I'll give it another brush. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. I'll cover this back up. This is simply our white embossing powder. Always make sure to close up your ink pads because you don't want them to dry out. Now, one thing I also suggest is using our silicone mat. It will protect your heat surfaces. Excuse me, it'll protect the surface below from the heat of the heat tool. Now, I am going to pick this up with these tweezers, and they're self-locking. All I have to do is hold on to it. It's going to be noisy for a moment. I'm going to set it all the way down to a number 2 with our heat tool, and you'll eventually see the powder change and liquefy, and then it will harden. Okay, I'm trying to keep this steady for you so the camera can focus. Yeah, okay. And you just simply go back and forth. Actually, I'm going to come a little closer. Okay. Now, when you're doing it, you'll be able to see it easier than on the camera here, but it's going to change from being dull to shiny, and I'm not sure how well that's showing up here. Okay, so again, this is live. Let me take a look, and it all looks nice and shiny, nothing dull. You do want to keep the heat tool moving around because you don't want it to burn. Oh, something was left on my tweezers. Interesting. Okay. Stuff happens because I do teach classes. You can always get a hold of me. Let me know if you're interested. I teach classes every month. It's always the same class. And whether you're a beginner or an advanced stamper or creator, you'll always learn something, I promise. Okay, I'm going to put this away. Okay, set this off to the side. Oh, what I didn't show you is I wanted to use my purple chamois for cleaning off the ink pad or the stamp to get rid of the white ink because it is goopy. Our normal Stampin' Scrub here is, it's not something I want to get goopy ink on. So that's why I'm using the chamois, because this is something I can take and run it under a faucet and rinse it out. So, all right. Now we just need to finish putting this together. Now another tip I have for you is we're going to put a little bow on it. And our baker's twine, this is our Whisper White solid baker's twine, is I'm leaving it in the bag, and it allows me to just pull out what I need. And that way it keeps this from unraveling and making a big mess. If you've ever done sewing, that can happen with thread or with your yarn if you crochet or knit. So this just keeps it nice and neat. And to save a little time, I did make a bow. And we're going to fuss with that a little bit. And there's a little bit of a trick on how to adhere that. But first of all, I am going to use our Stampin' Glue dots because this is already raised up. I don't want to raise the sentiment any higher. Let me move these things out of the way. So I'm going to use our glue dots. And the glue dots are on the back side of the paper. And here we go. Now there's a couple of ways to put them on your cardstock. You can simply grab the back, set it on here, and pull at an angle, and it tends to pull them off. Another way is, which I often do, is I will use the take your pick tool and lay them down. So whatever works for you. I've even used scissors. So there we go. And 3 of those is more than enough, I think. So now I am going to put that up, not at the bottom, but more raised up, more like where these cross, a little bit below where these 2 pieces cross. And I'm going to line it up. And there we go. That looks good. And now to adhere the bow, I am going to use another glue dot. I'm going to use the take your pick tool because it's going to allow me to roll it up on the tip. Okay, I am rolling this up on the tip. Okay. And I'm just going to put it down here. Roll this up and over. So, well, maybe I'll move it down. Move it down just a smidge. There we go. And then I am going to use my scissors and just give it a little haircut. And there you have it. Thinking of you, oh my goodness. I didn't even realize I stamped thinking of you on the inside. How do you fix it? I'm so happy. I'm so glad you asked. Okay. All we need to do is simply take a piece of cardstock, because I don't want to throw the card away, of course. That would be just silly. You don't want to do that. And then I'm going to cut this just a little bit narrower. Actually, here, I'll do this. Okay. I'm just going to take a random piece, cardstock, and we're going to stamp I didn't realize I did the thinking of you instead of get well. Ha. This is hilarious. Live TV or live video. Okay. So all I've done is cut a little scrap piece of cardstock. And stamp Get Well on it. And we're simply going to glue it on there. And nobody will know that there was a boo-boo. And I think that will look just fine. Nobody's going to really know, nor will they care. They're just going to think, hey, another layer of cardstock. And that's, sometimes it's not so much a mistake as it's another layer. So, and center that. Give that a moment to dry. Make sure it's straight. You could even use glue dots. So, here we go. This is the Thinking of You and Get Well card that anyone would love to get when they're not feeling well, especially during this season of allergies and sniffles. So, again, we used the Lasting Linen background stamp, the Friendly Foliage stamp and embossing set. And I forgot to mention this particular paper, the Friendly Foliage 3 Ways, is from Patty Bennett. You can find her website at pattystamps.com. She is the one that has this handout. And I want to give credit where credit is due. She's a phenomenal demonstrator with a lot of creative ideas and a lot of fun. So again, thank you for joining me at Stamper Kitty on my YouTube channel. Have a great day. Blessings.